You can send applications every day, collect certificates, and rewrite your resume again and again, yet still get no interviews. The problem may not be effort. It may be that an employer cannot quickly see a match between the work they need and the evidence you provide. Breaking into technology or cybersecurity is not one magic course, referral, or keyword. It is a system. Choose a realistic target, understand its tasks, build honest proof, communicate that proof clearly, practice explaining your decisions, and improve from feedback. In this video, we will build that system with a fictional candidate named Maya, compare certification first, project first, adjacent role and networking approaches, and cover resume privacy and fake recruiter risks. No salary, certification, or hiring promise here is universal. Verify every employer requirement before you act. Popular career explainers are clearest when they start with a familiar frustration, turn advice into a sequence, compare options without declaring one universal winner, and return to one candidate example. Visual changes keep each idea concrete: role map, proof matrix, resume, interview, mentorship, and feedback loop. We will adapt only those general presentation techniques. This script, Maya example, diagrams, artwork, thumbnail, branding, and scene composition are original to CipherVibe. Here is the analogy. Your career package is a movie trailer. The resume is not the entire movie. It is a short, relevant preview that earns the next conversation. Your portfolio is behind-the-scenes evidence showing how the work was made. The interview is the director's commentary, where you explain choices, trade-offs, mistakes, and lessons. A mentor can help edit the story, but cannot invent scenes you never completed. A flashy trailer cannot rescue missing evidence, and a great project may remain unseen if the preview is confusing. Begin with a role family, not a vague goal like work in cyber. Security operations, governance and risk, cloud security, identity, application security, and digital forensics involve different evidence. Collect several current job descriptions for the same type of role. Highlight recurring responsibilities, required fundamentals, useful tools, communication expectations, and experience signals. Separate must-have items from preferences. Job titles are inconsistent, so compare the actual work. The NIST NICE Workforce Framework provides a common language for cybersecurity work using tasks, knowledge, and skills. NICE work roles are groupings of work, not guaranteed job titles. CIS's NICCS Career Pathways Roadmap can also show related roles and possible stepping stones. Create a simple matrix with 3 columns: capability, evidence I already have, and the next smallest proof I can build. Choose one primary target and one adjacent pathway. A help desk professional might target junior security operations while also considering identity administration. A developer might move toward application security through secure code review. The adjacent path turns previous experience into leverage instead of treating it as wasted time. A certification-first approach can organize fundamentals and satisfy a listed requirement. Use it when the target role consistently asks for that credential or you need structured study. But a certificate does not prove that you can investigate an alert, document a risk, or explain a failed design. A project-first approach creates observable evidence. Use it when you need to demonstrate a task safely, analyze synthetic logs, harden a lab service, write a threat model, or automate a harmless workflow. The risk is building an impressive-looking demo with no clear problem, decision record, or validation. An adjacent role approach builds credibility inside real operations. Support, networking, software, audit, data, and systems administration can supply relevant experience. Use this when your existing skills overlap the target. Respect authorization and do not quietly perform security testing outside your job scope. A network-first approach improves information and trust. Conversations can reveal team problems, language, and realistic entry points. It cannot replace competence or guarantee a referral. Most people need a blend: learn enough to understand, build enough to demonstrate, translate existing experience, and form professional relationships without asking strangers to manufacture an opportunity. A strong portfolio project does not need to be huge. It needs to be understandable. Start with the question: can I detect suspicious sign-in behavior in a synthetic identity log? Define scope and success criteria. Draw a simple architecture. Record the steps you performed, but emphasize why. Show sanitized inputs, an alert or finding, validation, false positives, limitations, and what you would improve. Write a clear README with the problem, environment, assumptions, decisions, results, and lessons. Add diagrams or short screenshots only when they support a claim. If code is involved, make it readable and explain how to reproduce the safe parts. Never publish passwords, API keys, personal data, customer records, proprietary configurations, malware, or material copied from an employer. Use synthetic data and isolated labs. Confirm platform terms and authorization before testing anything you do not own. One carefully documented project aligned to a recurring job task can be more useful than many unfinished repositories. Your goal is not to look busy. Your goal is to let another professional evaluate how you think. Your resume is a relevance map. Start with a target role and keep the layout simple enough to read as text. Use clear headings, consistent dates, ordinary fonts, and contact details you are comfortable sharing. Match language naturally when you genuinely have the skill. Keyword stuffing can make the document harder for both software and people to evaluate. A skills list is strongest when experience or projects show where you use those skills. Write bullets as action, context, and outcome. Instead of responsible for tickets, a truthful version might say, triaged identity and endpoint support cases, documented reproducible symptoms, and escalated security-relevant events using the approved process. Add a number only if it is accurate, meaningful, and safe to disclose. Never invent metrics, clients, titles, credentials, or tools. Prioritize recent, relevant evidence. Explain transitions briefly through the pattern of your work rather than a defensive paragraph. Export a clean PDF if the employer accepts it, and test that the text copies in the correct order. Keep a plain text version for forms. Fact-check the posting, page count, file type, required fields, work authorization, location, clearance, and credential requirements vary. Maya works in technical support and wants to move toward junior security operations. She first compares current postings and nice task language. Recurring themes include analyzing events, documenting findings, communicating escalation, and understanding identity and endpoint basics. Her matrix shows existing evidence, careful ticket triage, account recovery, log collection, user communication, and escalation. The missing evidence is a complete security investigation. Maya builds a safe lab with synthetic sign-in records. She defines 3 benign and suspicious patterns, creates a simple detection rule, investigates 1 alert, records false positives, and writes a short incident note. She does not claim it as production experience. Her resume connects the support work to observable behaviors and lists the lab under projects. Her interview story explains the alert, the evidence she checked, why she avoided an early conclusion, how she would escalate, and what the lab could not prove. Then she asks a security analyst for feedback on the clarity of her investigation, not for a guaranteed referral. The analyst notices that her timestamps lack a time zone. Maya fixes the evidence, retests the rule, and improves the story. That small correction demonstrates coachability and attention to detail. For behavioral questions, prepare a small library of true stories, solving a problem, handling conflict, learning from failure, prioritizing competing work, improving a process, and communicating risk. STAR, situation, task, action, result is useful because it keeps the answer structured. Spend most of the time on your own actions and decisions. For technical questions, clarify the objective, scope, and assumptions. Break the problem into parts. Explain what evidence you would collect, what you would not do without authorization, and how you would validate the answer. If you do not know, say so, then describe a reliable path to find out. Practice out loud. Record a short answer, remove unnecessary jargon, and check whether the listener can identify the problem, your decision, the outcome, and the lesson. Do not disclose confidential employer incidents or customer data. Create an anonymized or lab-based version. Ask the interviewer useful questions. What outcomes define success? How work is reviewed? Which adjacent teams collaborate? What the first 90 days emphasize? And how the team handles learning and mistakes. Fact-check role-specific interview formats because employers change them. Networking is not collecting contacts. It is repeated, professional interaction around shared work. A peer can practice interviews, review a lab, and keep you accountable. A mentor can help you see patterns, challenge assumptions, and choose among paths. A sponsor is different. That person advocates for you in a room you are not in, usually after observing reliable work. Do not demand sponsorship from a stranger. Make a small request. Instead of, "Can you mentor me?" try, "I am moving from support toward identity security. Could you spend 15 minutes reviewing whether this sanitized project demonstrates the right task?" Include context and make it easy to decline. After feedback, act on it and report what changed. Mentors have boundaries. Do not request confidential hiring information, internal vulnerabilities, private candidate data, or free ongoing labor. Avoid sharing sensitive personal details. Verify anyone offering paid coaching, guaranteed placement, or access to hidden jobs. Mentorship works best as a portfolio, peers for practice, domain experts for depth, managers for organizational context, and communities for broader perspective. One person should not control your entire career narrative. Track a small set of outcomes, targeted applications, recruiter screens, interviews, later rounds, and offers. The purpose is diagnosis, not obsession. If qualified applications rarely become screens, review role fit, resume clarity, and referral context. If screens do not become technical interviews, practice the transition story. If interviews stall, request feedback when appropriate and compare your examples with the role's tasks. Change one major variable at a time so you can learn. Common mistakes are applying to unrelated roles with one generic resume, collecting credentials without proof, building unsafe projects, exaggerating metrics, memorizing interview answers, asking contacts only for referrals, ignoring adjacent roles, and treating silence as a personal verdict. Job hunting also creates security risk. The FTC warns that fake recruiters may use personal email accounts, request money for equipment or training, or ask for sensitive identity and banking information too early. Criminals can spoof employers and job listings. Verify the company through a website or number you independently know is legitimate. Check the sender's domain carefully. Never pay for the promise of a job. Do not run unknown software or enable macros for an assessment on your main computer. Confirm the test through an official company channel. Share only the personal information necessary for the current stage through a verified process. Here is the career checklist. Choose one primary role family and one adjacent path. Compare current job descriptions by tasks, not titles. Use NICE or another authoritative framework to organize the work, then verify the actual employer requirements. Create a capability matrix. Translate existing experience. Close one important gap with structured learning, a safe project, or adjacent responsibility. Document the problem, decisions, evidence, limitations, and lessons. Build a readable resume that makes relevance obvious. Use truthful keywords and evidence-backed bullets. Practice interview stories and technical reasoning out loud. Clarify assumptions, explain validation, admit uncertainty, and protect confidential information. Develop a portfolio of relationships, peers, mentors, managers, communities, and, over time, sponsors. Ask specific questions, act on feedback, and respect boundaries. Track the hiring funnel and improve its weakest transition. Verify recruiters independently, never pay to get hired, and do not surrender sensitive data before the process is legitimate. Remember the movie trailer. The resume earns attention, the portfolio proves the work, the interview explains the choices, and mentorship helps you edit the next version. Build evidence, tell the truth, and keep learning from the signal. Copyright 2026 CipherVibe. All rights reserved.